Hello everybody, hope you're all okay. I just want to say a big thank you to everybody that watched the video last week and the people that subscribed and got involved in the comments. I really appreciate it. I didn't even know if anyone was going to watch it. Like I say, I'm doing this for a little bit of a hobby over the winter for myself and to keep a log of my bets. So obviously a little point system and see how I get on at the end of the season. So the fact that so many people watched it and had positive things to say about it, I really appreciate that. And hopefully we can keep on enjoying these type of videos together and we can get involved in the comments and have a little battle and see at the end of the season who's got the bragging rights when we look back at the comments and see who can pick the most winners or even have the best shout for horses that might even run well at a price. There was a guy who put a 66 to 1 shot up in the comments telling everybody to take a look at it for the Albert Bartlett. Love all that type of stuff. If you can send any horses like that my way, I'll take a look at it. Obviously I can watch stuff like that all day, and someone else in the comments replied to him saying they was already had their eye on that horse themselves, so it's great that you're all bouncing ideas off each other and hopefully we can continue to do so. And yeah, a few people said that some of my selections last week took a lack of imagination and they could kind of pick themselves. I know this, like in my video last week I reiterated this. I said that these selections, especially in the first week, are not going to take a lot of imagination. It's just the way I bet, and it's just the way I think it's the easiest way to get points on the board and make profit at the Cheltenham Festival. And this is the last chance you really get just before the season starts to back these good horses for the Cheltenham Festival before the prices really start to contract. And then obviously the closer you get to the festival, that's when you really start looking for your shrewd selections and trying to shop around at a bigger price, because all the top horses by that point, if they've come out and showed what you were hoping them to show, they're too short to back, really, for me anyway. So yeah, I like to get them all on now. I think it's beneficial. Obviously you could say anybody could pick them, I know that, I'm not asking for no medals, but like for instance, you look at last season, you could have said anybody could have picked Monkfish for the RSA. I agree, anybody could spot that. He had a great chance, he was always going to be a better chaser. Obviously he looked great in the Albert Bartlett, he represents top connections. I took the 12s or the 14s, whatever it was, at the start of the season. He wins at 1 to 4, running 50% below his best, visually it seemed, and he's still hacked up. Like, obviously you could say anybody could have picked Monkfish, I agree, but at the end of the day, when you're getting a 1 to 4 shot that you've backed at 14 to 1 or so, winning that easily, it justifies picking the obvious selections, I feel, instead of trying to be too clever this far out. Even the likes of Shishkin, like I think he was 4 or 5 to 1 at the start of the season. We all know Nicky Henderson's records with 2-mile chasers. Shishkin looked a beast in the Supreme, what he overcome. Anybody could have said Shishkin for the ARKLE. Again, it would have took no medals, but it was worth getting on. I believe I had him in a lot of multiples, things like that. Whenever I had a win on the flat season last season, whether it was 50 quid or a couple of hundreds or whatever, I'd throw an extra tenner on Shishkin and keep building it. And listen, like I say, it was only 4 to 1. Anybody could have picked him. But when he's winning by half the track at odds on the first day of the Cheltenham Festival, it was worth it. So I always think it's worth backing the best horses, especially at the Cheltenham Festival. And yeah, if you can get a few big prices along the way, obviously it's more admirable. But just right now in October, before the prices start to contract, I just thought I'd get a couple of horses on the board that I think could potentially be closer to odds on the day. So if I can get them in the book now for 11 to 1, 9 to 2, or in a TRIXIE, things like that, I was happy to do so last week, and that's just justifying my selections from week 1. Yeah, so this week anyway, I'm going to go over the 3 novice chasers, the grade ones at the Cheltenham Festival. Obviously, we're 5 months out or so off the top of my head. So much can change in these races. I'm going to go over them briefly, just as a quick little skim and scam, let you know my early thoughts that could change a million times before we get to race day. And yeah, you can just bounce off me in the comments again, please, if you don't mind, and let me know who you fancy and if you've got any left field selections in these races, or even one at the top of the market that you think that you really fancy and is still value at them prices. So if we just get the ARKLE chase up on Odds Checker, the top of the market, I think this is interesting, to be honest, from a betting point of view. The top 3 in the market look at 3 really classy horses at the moment. You got Appreciated 3 to 1, BOBOLINGER 10 to 1, and Fernie Hollow 10 to 1. Now I think this is interesting because I don't think BOBOLINGER is going to go here. Obviously, it could be wrong, but just going off the way I feel like it's going to pan out, I don't think Bobolinger's going to go here. So that leaves Appreciator and Fernie Hollow. If they're both fit, I can't see Willie Mullins sending both of them two powerful darts in the same race. That's obviously working off the theory that I hope, because I put him up last week, working off the theory that Fernie Hollow's going to come back in good order and that they can both jump a fence, etc. But if them two continue their level of form that they've shown, he's not going to waste two darts on the ARKLE. So I think only one of Appreciator or Fernie Hollow is going to go for the ARKLE out the two. So you're eliminating two out the top three in the market. So then if you go further down the market, you've got Mike Drogo. I know a lot of people rate him. I don't think he's going to go the ARKLE. He could do. I don't know what the plans are for him. I haven't looked into him too much, but he looks impressive. But I think he might be going for more intermediate 2.5 mile trips. And then you've got Mackerel, who's staying hurdling, I think. Yes, I think he's been aimed at the fighting fifth at Newcastle. I think I read on Twitter. You can back me up with that if I'm wrong. And then you've got Quilixios. I think he's also staying hurdling for the season. You've got Honeysuckle. She's not going to be going no ARKLE. She's staying hurdling. She's going to defend her crown in the champion hurdle. You've got Malone Road. I don't understand why he's 25 to 1. He's showed nothing in years, but listen, obviously he came with a big ticket, 25 to 1. If that's your cup of tea, fair enough. Jungle Boogie, Dusart, Ballyadam. Dusart staying over hurdles for the time being, I think I read, because he's so lightly raced last season. You've got Ballyadam. I never pictured him as a chaser. I know he come from a point-to-point background, but he could barely jump a hurdle last season. I don't know. I can never picture him being a success over fences. I could be wrong. He fell first time out the other day. I think that just sums him up, to be honest. But you can't judge a horse off one race. So we'll see how Ballyadam pans out over the season. Henry's good at getting them going over fences, but he wouldn't be for me even at 25 to 1 Ballyadam. You got Cascova, Aspire Tower, Blue Lord, Mr. Coffee, all at 33 to 1. Aspire Tower, I think I read might have been out for the season. I'm not sure if I've got that right. I think I've just seen that on Twitter, so sorry, it's not the most reliable source, but just off the top of my head now. You've got Blue Lord. I haven't heard nothing about him. I should imagine he'd go chasing. He could be an ARKLE type, but Willie Mullins has already got the top two in the market for this. You've got Mr. Coffee. He could go here. He'd have to improve on last season, but obviously fences could do that for a horse. Abacadabras, he's going to stay hurdling, isn't he, I think. James de Burley, he's interesting. I don't think he's going to go for big campaigns over 2 miles though, but again, I'm not that educated on his plans, but I think he's going to be going over 2.5 miles, 3 miles. Then we've got Cape Gentleman. I think he might go over further. You never know though with him. You got Samra, however you pronounce that, Pentland Hills, Tihupu, who, to be honest, I like the look of that Tihupu last year, but he's only a 5-year-old. I'm not sure what the plans are for him. Classical Dream, I'd say he's not going to be running over 2 miles ever again. I think he'll stay hurdling too. And then, yeah, you're into the likes of Cigar Hard. Obviously, there's so much that can come out of left field for this race. It's a novice chase. Like, so many horses can improve for the fence throughout the season. But going back to them top three in the market, if only one of them was to run, and which I would be hoping is Fernie Hollow, because I put him up last week. So if you take Appreciator and Bobolinger out, and a lot of them don't go, which are prominent in the market at this early stage, there's nothing to stop Fernie Hollow being 7 to 4 for it. It depends how good he is over fences, obviously, but just looking at that, I do like that Fernie Hollow bet. He's 10 to 1 now. He's being clicked in a point from last week when I put him up at 11s. I check where he is, 10 to 1. Bet365 and Sky Bet, same bookies, I think, as last week. But yeah, like I say, if Willie Mullins wants to split Appreciator up from Fernie Hollow and put Appreciator in the marsh, Bobollinger goes to marsh, I'm thinking my Drogo goes to marsh. They might sense an opportunity in my Drogo and go for the ARKLE if it looks weaker. I'm not sure. He's in the RSA too. I don't know what his plans are. Quilixios not going to go. I've just been through them all. Like I say, this race could cut up. It sounds silly saying 5 months away from the festival, because as many horses that drop out could come in. But Fernie Hollow at 10 to 1, I think that's still a good bet. Like I say, this race could really cut up, and Willie Mullins factor in the ARKLE. If Fernie Hollow can jump a fence, he's as classy as he's looked and as his form has been his last 2 runs. If he can translate that to fences and come back in good working order, you remove the top two from the market, maybe he could be very short priced here. So at the moment, he's no I've already put him up, but Fernie Hollow for me in the ARKLE, that'd be my selection. Now to a more tricky race. The RSA, or sorry, the Festival Novice Chase. Let me just get it up here. Listen, I always try and be adaptable with these races, and whenever they change name, I try and get up to date quickly with the new name. I know a lot of people, for nostalgic reasons, like to still call races the old names that they're used to. But like I say, I like to be adaptable. But with this, that Festival Novice Chase, it just doesn't do anything for me. It's got no ring to it. I love the sounds of the RSA. It was probably one of my favourite names. Just, I don't know why. I really like the name of that. So I'm going to continue to call this the RSA. But yeah, Galopin Des Champs is the favourite for this race. You can't argue with that. Powerful connections. He was very impressive in the handicap at the Cheltenham Festival. And then he backed it up at the Punchestown Festival, looking very impressive. Over 3 miles, showing that he's got no problem with this trip. He represents powerful connections. He improved so much in his last 2 runs last season at the 2 big festivals, and you can't argue with the place at the top of this market. My Drogo was second in the betting, 10-1. I don't know where this horse is going. Maybe one of you can enlighten me in the comments. I think he'd probably go for the Marsh, but that's a very uneducated opinion. I haven't really heard anything to say where this horse is going to be targeted, but I think they view him as a Gold Cup horse in the future, and I just think Dan Skelton might mind him this season, not get too many miles on the clock, not too many hard races, and probably go for the Marsh Chase over 2.5 miles and see how he gets on there. He's obviously got the class. Well, he looks like he had the class over hurdles to translate that in the Group 1s or the Grade 1s over fences. Third in the market is Brave Man's Game, 12-1. He's 12-1 on Bet365, but he's as short as 7-1 on Paddy Power and Betfair. There's a big difference in price between the firms there, so you get a bit of value at the 12. You could argue that 12 is a little bit of value on Bet365 if you fancy them. Obviously, the English haven't got a good record the last couple of seasons against the Irish at the Cheltenham Festival, but Paul Nicholls is more than capable of training a good 3-mile chaser. I like the fact he was pitched in against not seasons, but horses with chase experience on his debut against the big breakaway and Fuso Raffles. Both of them have been placed in Grade 1s. So it was a nice test for him, even though Brave Man's Game was getting that £12. I'd rather have seen him in a race like that, getting the weight rather than just going off 1-7 against a bunch of basic horses and just not proving nothing. I like to think that Brave Man's Game was pitched in that race so that Nicholls could get him up to speed at a top level, so that he didn't get such a culture shock when he met the Irish horses at the festival in 5 months' time, because obviously we all know what happened last season. The Irish absolutely dominated it. Nicholls thought Brave Man's Game was a good thing by the sounds of it going into the festival, and he just got wiped the floor with by Bobolinger and obviously beat by Gaillard Du Mesnil also. So I'd like to think Nicholls is trying to get Brave Man's Game up to speed early this year, try and race in competitive, good races, so that when he does bump into the likes of Galopin Des Champs and the Irish horses at the festival, it won't come as much as a shock to him, and he should be up to that standard, and it'd be nice to see him run well and put it up against the Irish challengers. Appreciated is next in the market. Listen, in his bumper days, I was already thinking about this horse for the RSA, and he was always mentioned as me. He could be a future Gold Cup horse, but I can't see him going for this 3-mile race now. He's showing too much speed and class over 2 miles. I do think he'll get up to 2.5 miles this season, but I can't see him racing over 3 miles, and Willie's already got a strong anti-boast hand in this market, so I could be wrong, but I can't see Appreciated going here. Vanillier was a ready winner of the Albert Bartlett. I don't know how good that form's going to work out to be. He was disappointing at Punchestown when he tried to follow it up, but listen, it was impressive enough. It's festival form. Obviously, it's a different course than the RSA, the Albert Bartlett, but I suppose he can warrant respect, but he wouldn't be my idea of a bet at 16-1. You've got Classical Dream at 16-1, another for Willie Mullins. I think he hinted he was going over fences, but I can't see it. I think Willie Mullins has got too many options already for the novice chasers at the festival, and I just think Classical Dream has proved too fragile over the last couple of seasons. The way he bolted up at Punchestown over 3 miles, I can see Classical Dream being campaigned for the Stayers hurdle. I could be wrong. When this horse won the Supreme, I had him back for the ARKLE the next year. Like I thought he just looks every inch a chaser, but at this point in his career now, I keep him hurdling, especially after what he's done at Punchestown. I can't see him going here. Then you're into Jungle Boogie, Manila Drama, Bobolinger, Thyme Hill, all 20-1. Let me know what you think about them for. Bobolinger, I don't personally think is going to go here. Thyme Hill, I think he'll stick to the Stayers. I heard he'd schooled well over fences, but no, I just think with the level of form he showed over hurdles last season, he can be right there, competitive in a Stayers hurdle. If he was mine, I'd keep him hurdling and go for the Stayers. We'll have to see what happens, but me personally, just the way I'm working it out in my head, I don't think he's going to go here, so I'm not going to pay him much respect. Then we're into Indiana Jones, Gentleman's Game, Ashdale Bob. Yeah, all three look like chasers, to be fair. And then we're into Dusart. I think he's getting kept hurdling. I think I see Nicky Henderson say because he's only had the 2 runs over hurdles last season due to a nasty injury. So that's a bit of a shame because I know a lot of people were looking forward to seeing this horse jump a fence, but I don't think it's going to be this season. Unless Nicky Henderson meant just 1 hurdles run for a bit more experience, then over fences. But I don't know, I can't see Nicky Henderson rushing him like that. I think if he's mentioning hurdles, that'll probably be Dusart for this season. And then we're into Farouk Delen. This is interesting, I think. I backed him anti-post for the Albert Bartlett last season. He didn't make it. I don't know what happened at the end of the season. Off the top of my head, I don't think we've seen him at the end of the season. I could be wrong. But listen, this could be one of them horses that improves bucket loads for jumping a fence. He looks a chaser, like a lot of them on this list. I think he's got a slight preference for going right-handed, if I remember rightly. But listen, powerful connections. You can't rule him out. I am interested to see this horse over a fence. He's 25-1. It's appealing enough if you want to take a chance on him. I haven't. And then we're into Gaillard Du Mesnil, a horse that I have backed for this race. I've had small bets on a few in this race. I just think at 25-1, I think this could be value. Obviously, Willie Mullins has got a couple in this, or more than a couple, that could go for this race. So you're kind of guessing which ones are going to go here or not. And a lot like this looked like Willie Mullins' RSA horse for me. As soon as the Ballymore finished, I thought this horse would win the Ballymore, and we all know what happened. Bobolinger ran away with it. But this horse just shaped like an RSA horse to me in the Ballymore, and I thought, yeah, that's Willie's for next season. And then obviously Galopin de Champs has come out and done what he's done and established himself at the top of the pecking order. So who knows? And obviously Classical Dream if he did come over fences. But no, Gaillard Du Mesnil, I had a little bet on him after the Ballymore, and at 25-1, I think in such an open race that this is looking, I'd rather take a chance on a 25-1 in this than an 8-1. Like me personally, I would rather back Gaillard Du Mesnil than Galopin de Champs. But I'm not saying he's got a better chance of winning. Galopin de Champs is very worthy at the top of the market, but just how open this is, I just think I'd like to take a chance on Gaillard Du Mesnil. I'm not advising any bet on him. I'm not going to log it down in my points. But like I say, before I've done these videos, after the Ballymore, I did have a little bet on him, only a small one. And yeah, I'd still be happy with that, to be honest. It's around the same place he's at now. I think I got 2080s, 25s. I can see him shortening a lot. If he can jump a fence, he looked classy enough last season. I was a big fan of him anyway, and I think 3 miles will suit him a lot more than 2.5. And then we're down to Fernie Hollow. He's not going to go here. I think I can say with confidence, but we'll see. Barbados Bucks. I seen Nichols say the other day that he's excited to see this horse jump a fence, so I have to wait and see with that one. He's there at 25-1. If that's your cup of tea, let me know if anybody fancies him, or let me know whatever he's fancy. Like I've already said, I'm intrigued to hear if anyone's got a strong selection anti-post in this race, because to me it looks so open. It's the hardest one by miles for me out the 3. And then we've got Grand Paradis, 28-1 best priced. This horse was quite lightly raced last season. He missed the Cheltenham Festival. I liked him. Listen, I wouldn't rule anybody out taking a punt on him. I have to see what he's like over fences. You've got Gaz de So, however you pronounce that. the JP horse, I've seen a few people say they fancy this horse for the 4 miler. I think that's the race for him. But obviously, with the RSA and the 4 mile, you always have a lot of horses that both options are open for these type of horses. We're into Fury Road. I thought he'd go chasing last season. For some reason, he was kept hurdling, and that just didn't work out at all. So I don't know what's wrong with the horse. He's going to need fences to spark a revival, really, isn't he? But listen, he's got the back form there from that strong Albert Bartlett, and we'll just wait and see what happens. This is if he even is going chasing. I haven't heard anything, but I'd assume so, because he didn't look like he had nothing left to offer over hurdles last season. And then we've got Statler, Bear Gills, the Boss's Oscar, Ahoy Senor. Bit of after time in here, but anyone that knows me knows that I backed this horse at 80, 66 to 1. Only a small bet. I'm not going to lie and say I thought he was definitely going to win. He was just in my tracker because the race before I was really impressed with him. Listen, I think this Ahoy Senor is the type of horse like an I Wright a couple of seasons back. I think it was the year champ won the RSA, and that I Wright ran a respectable 5th or 6th and then went on to national trips afterwards. I think this Ahoy Senor could run a respectable race in that RSA but not have the class to win, and then go for grand national trips later on in his career. Saints trainer has one for Arthur, isn't it? I think Lucinda Russell. So maybe that's the plan with this horse. Who knows? He's a really likeable horse. And then went into Gentleman's Game, Gentleman's Demi, James de Burley. Obviously, he's an interesting one. He came with a big reputation. Will he go for the RSA or the Marsh? I don't know. But listen, we'll just have to see what he's like over fences. He was pitched in at the top level straight away last season, and he didn't make much of an impression at Cheltenham. But obviously, you're not going to start judging his Cheltenham form just off his very first run in England in the champion hurdle. But we'll have to wait and see where he goes. One at a price here that I think could be interesting. I touched in the last video at Nicky Henderson's stable form last season. A lot of them weren't fighting, and this Gallyhill 50 to 1, he come with a big reputation. He cost a few quid, and he looks every inch a chaser. And at 50 to 1, I really wouldn't put anyone off having a few quid at it. I've had a bit of spare change on him at 50 to 1. Listen, it could be an absolute disaster of a selection, but I'm not bothered about losing a few quid. He represents top connections. Obviously, Nicky Henderson, he looks a chaser. He come with a big ticket, like I say, big reputation, 50 to 1. Listen, if he can improve for jumping fences and Henderson can be in better form this season, and he can notch up a few wins from now till the festival, he could go off a lot shorter than 50 to 1, of course, because Holy Macapony is another one. I thought he looked like Manila Indo number 2 when he won on his debut against Gaillard Du Mesnil last season, and then he just went backwards. God knows what happened there. He was another horse I backed anti-post for the Albert Bartlett. Yeah, it was him and Farouk Delen that I backed anti-post for the Albert Bartlett. Disaster, none of them ended up making it, but see what he can offer over fences if that is indeed where he's going. And yeah, I don't want to waste too much more time on this. If I haven't covered any that any of yous fancy, please let me know in the comments. And if yous can tell me what's going to win this race at this point, I'd love to hear it, because to me, I could back 6 or 7 in this. It's honestly, I think that's wide open, and hopefully a lot of them are going chasing. A lot of them can jump a fence, and I think we've got a cracker in store here. It looks the most interesting out the novice chasers for me by a mile. So now if we move on to the final one, the Marsh Chase. So we've got Bobolinger at the top of the market here, 4 to 1, best odds. I put him up in the Trixie last week. I've backed him anti-post as a single. I'd still put him up now at 4 to 1, best priced on Sky Bet. I think he's just got that touch of class. He looks special. Just need to see that he can jump a fence. And obviously the opposition could be hot in this if Appreciator is diverted here. Obviously it's all speculation this far out, but Bobolinger is a worthy favourite at the top of the market for me. Appreciator comes in here second, that's 11 to 2. That's a big price if you knew he was coming here. Obviously it's factored into the price that he could go the ARKLE, but listen, this horse has done nothing wrong. I'm a massive fan of him. He's really classy, and he deserves to be amongst the head of this market. And what a clash that'll be if it's Appreciator versus Bobolinger. I'm really looking forward to that. You got My Drogo, that could add a bit of spice to this again. A lot of people have got high expectations over this horse. Me personally, I don't know what it is. I just don't rate him as high as BOBOLINGER. I appreciate it, the likes of them, just yet. But hopefully I'm wrong, and he's another potential superstar. I know the Skeltons really like him, and if he comes here, then what a race that can be. You've got Classical Dream. I've already given my view on him. I think he stays hurdling. Gallop on Deschamps. I think he's going to go the RSA. Seem to improve bucket loads for going up and trip. Quilixios, like I've touched on him, hurdling. Fernie Hollow could go here if they opt to keep Appreciated in the ARKLE. But I'm just, in my head, I've got Appreciated going here and Fernie Hollow going in the ARKLE. But listen, if it was the other way around, 16 to 1, Fernie Hollow could look very, very big. Gaillard Du Mesnil, he could come here. Like I say, I've had a few quid on him for the RSA, but you just have to see how the season plans out with injuries for Willie Mullins. He could chop and change so many times, and Gaillard Du Mesnil has proved he can be effective over this trip while looking very well held by BOBOLINGER in the Ballymore. Obviously, fences can change results, but no, I couldn't have him reversing the form of BOBOLINGER at this stage. But let's see them jump a fence before we make them accusations. James de Burley, I've touched on that. I don't know what race he's going. We're repeating a lot of the same horses here because this far out from the Cheltenham Festival, you just have the best horses prominent in every market, really, as you all know. That's why I always prefer to back a horse any race. This is a little side note. Anybody that's been doing anti-post betting for a while, I'm guessing most of you watching this type of video, like, they've absolutely killed the any race markets this year, haven't they? Like, I always take the few points less and back a horse any race because I just think to myself, I'd rather have that cover. But they've took that option away from us this year. Like, some of them prices in the any race markets, they are terrible. For instance, last season I backed Appreciated at 11 to 1 any race around this time last year. Or sorry, after the Cheltenham Festival when he comes second in the bumper. And then just before he made his hurdles debut, I took 9 to 1 any race. Like, you're getting good prices there. Any race for a classy horse that had all options open. I think Kilcrut is a very similar horse to him. Like, he's from the same stable, he's the same silks. He comes second in the champion bumper at Cheltenham. He looks classy. He won the Dublin Racing Festival bumper. And you're talking like 7 to 4 any race for Kilcrut. Like, it's crazy. I know he's come out and won at the Punchestown Festival and Appreciated didn't get that chance, but what's happening with these markets this year? It's just such a safety net that any race market. Like, for instance, I thought Appreciated would go to Ballymore, and I actually backed him any race in case he went to Albert Bartlett, and he ends up winning the Supreme by 10 lengths. And how grateful was I then to make sure that I didn't just go all guns blazing on the Ballymore. As always, recommend if you can any race, but it's just impossible this year for a lot of the horses, unfortunately, so you kind of have to take the risk. But anyway, back to the Marsh Chase. I've had my little ramble there on the any race markets. Honeysuckle, she's not going to go here. Monmoral, like I say, hurdling. I've went over a lot of these horses. Here's a new one, Mac Fabulous. He's always looked to chase out. I've never really been a big fan of him. I actually fell into the trap of backing this horse at Aintree. I was undecided in that race at Aintree because Nichols had started the day so well. I just thought to myself, this Mac Fabulous is being, he's being kept for this. A nice flat track, and he's just disappointed. I don't know what was wrong with him. I've never liked the horse. It's the first time I've backed him, and I think it's probably the last time I'll back him, unless fences can spark a big improvement in him. If anybody fancies Mac Fabulous at 33 to 1, I couldn't put it off at them prices, but like I say, it wouldn't be for me. And then a lot of these other ones, you've got Stargate, 40 to 1, I haven't touched on him. I don't know what the plan is with this horse. You're into Pipe Smoker. I know Nicky Henderson has always held him in high regard, but I don't know what the plan is with this horse again. Still waiting for the stable tours and things to come out. Like I say, this is 5 months away from the festival. I think that's it. We've covered a lot of these because they're also in the ARKLE and the RSA market. But yeah, in this race, BOBOLINGER for me. So the 3 early selections for me would be, which I've already put 2 up last week, it would be Fernie Hollow for the ARKLE, BOBOLINGER for the Marsh, and then the RSA is that wide open. I think I just have 2 small bets on Gallyhill and on Gaillard Du Mesnil. Whether they even go with that race, I don't know. I think Gallyhill will almost certainly go for that race. Gaillard Du Mesnil, I think probably, but I'd just rather have a few quid on 2 outsiders in that race than smash into a horse at the top of the market, because I think that looks like there could be a real good good few contenders. It looks like one of them races where you could get a good price on the day in that RSA, unless one really sticks their head above the pack and stands out. But yeah, listen, that's all I covered today because I don't want the videos to drag on too much. I ramble on as it is. That's just the type of guy I am when I talk about horse racing. Hopefully you all enjoyed this. I'm not putting no bets up today to add to my little list in the comments. If any of you want to get involved in the comments about the novice chasers or about anything coming up or anything to do with the Cheltenham Festival or the upcoming season full stop, please get involved and let me know. And yeah, next time I'm gonna cover the novice hurdles, and I'll see you all then. Hope you enjoyed it. Bye now. Hello everyone. I've changed my mind. I've just been watching the video back that I've just recorded just before I uploaded it to YouTube, and I've decided to put 2 bets up. I wasn't going to put these 2 horses up because, as silly as it sounds, they're not the 2 horses that I'd pick if I had a gun to my head to win the race. But they're just 2 horses that I think are overpriced. What I've just touched on in the RSA, and the Gaillard Du Mesnil and Gallyhill. And I just need to check what prices they are actually best odds. But I'm going to do 0.5 on each of them because I think they're 25 to 1 and 50 to 1. So if I get the Festival Novice Chase up, Gaillard Du Mesnil is 25 to 1. Best priced, and that is on, whenever it loads, Sky Bet, Bet365, William Hill. It's across the board. If you can boost your bets on William Hill or things like that, you can get a little bit more. So 25 to 1, Gaillard Du Mesnil, 0.5 points, straight win. I'm not an each way gambler. It's up to you. If any of you want to copy these bets, I'm not sure like if you would, but it's up to you how you want to play them. I don't back each way, even though I know it's a very effective way of gambling. It's just something I'm just not into. And then Gallyhill is 50 to 1. Just give it a second to load. I'm just in the back room in my apartment. But yeah, he's 50 to 1. I'm going to wait to see what bookies this is on. Sky Bet, Bet365, William Hill. Them 3 are the ones that are paying 50 to 1 best price. Again, you can boost it on William Hill if you've got access to boosts on William Hill or anything like that. So yeah, I'm going to put 0.5 points up for both of them. Like I say, going to my head, I don't think I pick either of them to win, but I do think they are overpriced. If Galopin Des Champs gets injured, I know this is all ifs and buts, but if he was to, then this Gaillard Du Mesnil would become Willie Mullen's first string. And you look back, and I think he was still a 4-year-old when he made his debut, just about to turn 5, and he ran over 2.5 miles then against Holy Mackerel. And for a 4-year-old to be running over that distance, that just screams stamina to me. And then you look at him in the Dublin Racing Festival, he was doing all his best work late on tacky ground, and there was quite a lot of stayers in that race too. It was that trip in between the Albert Bartlett and the Ballymore kind of thing, you know which race I'm talking about at the Dublin Racing Festival. And Gaillard Du Mesnil was staying on really strong at the end. And then also in the Ballymore, he was staying on for second behind BOBOLINGER. And I just think this horse is going to be better over 3 miles. I don't know how Willie's going to juggle them. Sometimes, in my opinion, he doesn't pick the right trips for his horses. Listen, he's forgot more about horse racing eating his brekkie than I'll ever know in a million years. But it's just like when he ran ALLAHO in the RSA instead of the Marsh, like that confused me. But I don't know if that was an owner's decision. But listen, it's 0.5 points. I'm happy to risk that on Gaillard Du Mesnil. And then Gallyhill, listen, this is all form going out the window. On form, he's got no chance. But like Henrietta Knight bought this horse to be a Gold Cup horse for Mike Gretsch, and obviously sent it to Nicky Henderson, who's always spoke positively about this horse. There's too many of the right people saying good things about this horse. Nico, I'm sure, said he really likes the horse too. It surely hasn't shown its best because it didn't show much at all last season, but it just comes with a big reputation. Again, I'm willing to risk 0.5 points on Gallyhill at 50 to 1. For him and Gaillard Du Mesnil combined, it's 1 point combined. Listen, like I say, I'm no hero. I don't just pick one horse and stick with it for 12 months or whatever. If it comes to the day and I fancy a horse, even a couple of weeks before the RSA at 5 to 1, I'll back it, like, because I've only staked a point combined on these two horses. It's just a bit of loose change, so it's not going to impact me back on another horse moving forward. It's just two horses that I think if they run in this race, they're surely gonna be a shorter price than they are now, because Gallyhill, it only takes him to come out, like I've already touched on, win a couple of races, shape well, representing Nicky Henderson in the RSA. He's not going to be 50 to 1, no matter what level of ability he shows beforehand. And then Gaillard Du Mesnil, listen, you could back him any race, but it's 0.5 points. I'm going to just stick with him in this race because, like I say, if he was to go for the Marsh Chase, I'm really sweet on Bobolinger, even though it is far out. I'm not willing to cover myself, really. I'm going to just go 0.5 points on Gaillard Du Mesnil for the RSA. I'm hoping he goes this way. We'll have to see. We all know Willie Mullins bingo, but I'd just kick myself if I didn't put these up now for the sake of a point, and then, listen, on the day, Gallyhill or Gaillard Du Mesnil win, and could have had them here at 25 to 1 and 50 to 1. And I think it's worth taking the chance, so I'm just going to add this little bit on to the end of the video. Thanks, guys.